Hey, thanks for checking this out. So let's jump right in. Ego blow number one that I've taken in the past few months is let's rewind a year ago, almost exactly to the day. I held a ribbon cutting for my brand new photography studio that I was so proud of. It was handicap accessible. It was in this very hip, very new location in town. And I thought it was really going to bring a lot of business in for in-studio shoots, which is really where I wanted my photography business to go. Guess what didn't happen? That didn't happen. So I found myself a little bit over 8 months later in November of 2023, handing my keys back to my landlord just because I didn't have the business to justify keeping my studio, and quite frankly, didn't have the money to keep it. So I had to find someone to take over my lease for this photography studio, and that was a pretty big shot to my ego. And let's back up. Thanks for hanging with me. I realize I've been totally incommunicado. In fact, I had to go back and look and see when the last time I sent a newsletter out was, or any kind of communication or posted to socials. And guess when it was? November of 2023. Just as I was in the midst of going through all these changes. So ego blow number one, having to, making the decision to jettison my photography studio. Ego blow number two, as I mentioned, my photography business just really just stalled out. And I have a lot of thoughts on why that happened. None of it have to do with photography, but we'll get into that in a future communication here. But the second ego blow that I took was having, being in a position where my photography business wasn't paying the bills. So I had to go out and get a part-time job and found myself at almost 47 years old, having run my own businesses for almost 7 years, having to very humbly ask my friends who just opened a very high-end food market if I could put all those decades of me watching Food Network to use and just ask them for a job, an entry level position. So very hat in hand, I had to ask them if they needed help, and they graciously, brought me on board. But you want to talk about an ego blow? Try, having led missions for NASA and run your own businesses and all the accolades that went with those things. And I was working for minimum wage. I could be doing anything from recommending people on recipes for very high-end pasture-raised beef, or I could be breaking down cardboard boxes and mopping floors again. So big ego blow, right at the beginning of December, although I was thankful for the job, but still took a definite shot to the ego. And then right before Christmas, I was on a coaching call with a trusted advisor, and I was saying to her that my imposter syndrome talks that I've been working to develop and get out into the world just didn't seem to be getting any traction. And she paused and said, John, tell me again what your talk is called. What's your keynote called? And I said, it's called Unmasking Imposter Syndrome. And she thought and said, who are you looking to speak with? Who are you looking to serve? I said, well, I'm looking to, help the person I used to be, high performers, people at elite levels that don't believe the good things that people say to them or don't believe the accolades that they've earned. That's who I'm looking to serve. And she just, very sagely said, John, do you think people that are successful and likely in a leadership position and are used to putting on this front that they have it all together want to admit that they have imposter syndrome? And it was like, duh, no, they probably don't. So, but what happened on the inside, the reason why that was such a blow to my ego was that I totally missed, the woods through the trees. I've been working so hard in developing this content. I didn't really think how it was landing with people. So all I could hear was the alarms going off in my head that I failed and I wasted the past 2 years developing this content. And, so when I hung up the phone a few days before Christmas, like I was, that awful mix of like being really pissed. I wasn't pissed at her. I was pissed at myself. just being really pissed and then just also feeling really defeated. So I made the decision to just totally shut the engines down over Christmas and New Year's, and made the commitment to myself that once I got back in the saddle in January and the kids were back in school, that I would work on retooling my content, which I know is solid content, into something that would land with people. So when I got back in the saddle, I thought, okay, now what, hot shot? And as I started thinking about things, I really wanted to have a title that would grab people's attention, especially those people that operate at high levels. Um, and I wanted to have the content be something that, instead of them like having to admit they had a problem like imposter syndrome, I wanted the content to be something that they aspired to. And what I thought about was the keynote and content that a man I've been able to do a few collaborations with this past year. His name's William R. Branum, and William's a 26-year veteran of the Navy SEAL teams. And his keynote is Navy SEAL mindset. Like, what's Navy SEAL mindset mean? I don't know, but I want that. Navy SEALs are badass, right? So I went back to work and sharpened the pencil and thought, I want to have something like that, like Williams talk. And, I'm not a Navy SEAL, but I was a rocket scientist. I was used to operating at elite levels with elite people. And I merged that with what the core of the imposter syndrome talk was about, which was lack of confidence. So I retooled all my content starting in January, been working on it for months, and it's retooled now as elite level confidence. Powerful tactics to switch from stuck to soaring. So here I am. I've been laying all the groundwork in the background. You'll be getting now more routine communications from me. I'm gonna be sending out a weekly blog/video. Socials will start being updated because that switch not only helped me relate to other people. I've given that talk and workshops and it's landing phenomenally well. Bookings are coming in. So I'm really excited to share those once things get firmed up. But the content is so much more impactful and relatable to so many people. So you'll be getting a lot of that just for free, just me sharing it. And all I ask of you, especially after reading this blog post or watching this video or seeing the socials, wherever you're getting this content, let me know what content you want to hear. And I'll, do my best to incorporate that content that you want to see for how to, you know, continue operating at elite levels or to build your confidence or things like that, because I'm really excited about all this. And I hope this serves as an inspiration to you. Maybe you're feeling like I was in November, where you're just taking body blows to your ego, to your self-worth. And I want to just encourage you to hang in there and to surround yourself with trusted advisors and really lean into what they say whenever they're cheering you on and giving you valuable feedback. It might not be pleasant in the moment, but just like any kind of endeavor, it's usually uncomfortable while you're doing it, but the results are so worth it in the future. So hang in there. Let me know what content you want to hear. I'm really excited to get back on the horse with probably more purpose and more focus than I've ever had. Thanks, everybody. Onward and upward.